I want you to hit me as hard as you can.
In 1984, James Cameron's blockbuster The Terminator hit theaters and took the world by storm. The movie was a massive hit that not only launched James Cameron's career as a director, but also Arnold Schwarzenegger's career as a leading man. The earth-shattering impact of the film on the science fiction genre cannot be denied. Hell, the movie was even selected by the Library of Congress for preservation in the National Film Registry as culturally, historically, or aesthetically significant. Then in 1991, Cameron once again impacted cinema by creating the best sequel of all time, Terminator 2. Filmmakers trying to follow up their successful films with sequels have tried plenty to copy it, but in my opinion, no film has come close to capturing the magic that happened in Judgment Day. Now, over the years, Hollywood has tried to keep the magic of the franchise going, with follow-up films that were either a miss, meh,
I'm gonna fucking kick your fucking ass! You know, shut up for a second, alright?
yeah, whatever, Christian. Bring on the angry comments. Confusing as hell. Seriously, guys, can anybody explain to me how the time travel and alternate timelines work in this movie?
It's, timey-wimey thing.
Oh, shut up, Doctor. You say that for everything that's confusing in time travel.
I've come a very long way to stop you.
Yep, that explains it. The Doctor has gone nuts. But then again, it could be worse. It could have been... Yeah, do me another favor, guys. Can you answer the following questions for me? Why do flamethrowers in this movie roar like a cheetah? Also, what the fuck is this?
Hey! Hey! Are you gonna pay for that?
Talk to the hand.
Yeah, I don't think I'm alone in feeling that the franchise could not successfully continue. And in my opinion, why should it? The end of T2, spoiler alert if you've been in Carbonite for the past 29 years, was the perfect ending. Changing the timeline and creating a future not based on fate, but free will. It really was the best place to end it. Yet Hollywood, as usual, was trying to drain blood from a stone. For a long time, and especially after the shitstorm that was Terminator 3, it only confirmed for me that there could be no successful sequel in this franchise. That was until... The Sarah Connor Chronicles premiered on January 13th, 2008, and was immediately seen as an amazing follow-up to the films by many fans, myself included. The show was not only a love letter to the franchise, but stood on its own with great stories, acting, and of course, action. The special effects still hold up, and there's a hardcore cult following that not only loved the show, but tried everything to save it. But sadly, it wasn't to be. But if the show was so good, who would be dumb enough to cancel it?
Terminator, the Sarah Connor Chronicles.
It's life or death.
The new season begins this September on Fox.
Wait, that was the network the show was on? Well, shit. But all jokes aside, is the show really as good as we remember? What are the reasons why it died, just like so many other great shows? And of course, should it
Be back.
in this episode of Gone, but Not Forgotten. The Sarah Connor Chronicles was created by Josh Friedman, who is known primarily for screenwriting. Granted, not for the greatest of films, but he had been involved in the film industry since 1996, and the Sarah Connor Chronicles was his first foray into television. The show starred Thomas Dekker as John Connor, alongside Summer Glau as Cameron, the new Terminator sent from the future to further protect John from Skynet, and some British actress named Lena Headey as Sarah Connor. God, I wonder whatever happened to her. Ah, well, the world may never know. In all seriousness though, the actors on this show were mostly amazing. They portrayed these classic characters as slowly losing their humanity, and in danger of becoming the very mechanical enemies that they fight against. And while the show did have great action, it was its examination of humanity and religious themes that made it stand out. Yes, it was a love letter to the original films, but it brought new aspects of the story that were not only cool, but it also gave the characters we grew up watching on the big screen even more depth on the small screen. The show's story begins as Sarah and John are still on the run from the police, jumping from town to town with new identities and keeping to themselves. John and Sarah's relationship is strained, as John wants to live something close to a normal life, while Sarah is strictly on a mission to protect her son and not lose him as she did before. She loves John, but her drive to follow her, for a lack of a better word, mission, puts her at odds with building an actual life. This is best reflected in the pilot episode, when Sarah decides to leave her fiancé due to her fear of being found out by the FBI and putting John at risk, even though John points out there is no proof of any threat, as they've smoothly integrated into this community with no sign of being caught. But nevertheless, Sarah takes John and runs to a small town in New Mexico with all new identities. It's here where John meets Cameron, a girl who shows interest in John, as played by the great Summer Glau. After John gets attacked by a Terminator who calls himself Cromartie, we find out Cameron is actually another reprogrammed Terminator sent to the past by the future John Connor. Yes, much to their horror, Skynet has not been killed, and Judgment Day has sadly only been postponed to 2011. This is when the show takes a brilliant turn, as Cameron takes them to a bank that houses a time machine, which she uses to transport them from 1999 to 2007. So now with a clean slate, the police are no longer looking for them, as they believe they've died in the bank explosion, and can now just focus on stopping Skynet from being born. But wait, how the hell is there a time machine in the past? Well, that's easy. You send back someone to build it. The show presents smart ideas like this that I'm surprised none of the follow-up films ever thought of, such as the fact that if Skynet sent multiple Terminators back in time, why couldn't John send back more Resistance fighters? The show was filled with little cool ideas like this that help flesh out the world of the Terminator films, as well as having some brilliant decisions in the direction the show would take, only to pull the rug right out from under us with a new revelation. It also acknowledges that horrible Rise of the Machines movie by having Cameron revealing to Sarah that in the future she dies of cancer. Now that's an interesting subplot, because for most of the series, Sarah is terrified of dying before Skynet could be stopped, and leaving John all alone. I thought it was like a backhanded compliment. Good job, we're just gonna take one thing from this shitty movie and actually make it interesting this time. I think the best example of a new idea that fleshed out the show was the introduction of Derek Reese, who was the brother of Kyle Reese, who was the father of John Connor, making Derek his only connection to his father, something the films always portrayed as John's one dream to have a relationship with the dad he never knew. Until the future, that is.
What? I hate that thing. It's just a picture.
It's Connor's mother. I don't get why he'd give you that.
She's my lucky charm.
People assume that time is a strict progression of cause to effect, but actually, from a non-linear, non-subjective viewpoint, it's more like a big ball of wibbly-wobbly.
No, Doctor! No! You stop that now! The role of Derek was played by Brian Austin Green.
I need you with me by my side. I need you in my heart. 'Cause there's a space you can only...
Yeah, I know! I always thought he was just a relic of a bad show filled with bad actors, but I have to say over the years, a few of the cast of 90210 have surprised me with their talent. Sure, the show was garbage, but it was unfair of me to judge the cast as actors based solely upon that crap fest. After being on this show, Brian proved to me that he's actually a very talented actor. His career seems to have petered out nowadays, but I hope he gets more work because this show proves he's got the goods. Derek has been scarred by the war and is driven by one thing, completing his mission to stop Skynet. But when he meets the Connors, his life is thrown into chaos because now he can't follow his mission as ruthlessly as he has in the past. Now he's conflicted in making decisions without thinking of the impact it has on building a family with John and Sarah. Lena Headey played Sarah Connor as a driven mother who did everything she could to protect her son, who happened to be the one man who would save the world. She was a mother first, and then a soldier. She carried this show, and it's not a surprise she went on to win an Emmy for Game of Thrones. I'm sure she'll go on to win many more awards in her future. Thomas Dekker played the role of John Connor. And, well, it's not that he did a bad job, I just felt he was rather one note. But maybe I'm wrong, it has happened before. Summer Glau portrayed Cameron, the Terminator who sent back in time to protect John, her name of course being an homage to the creator of the franchise, James Cameron, although Glau had actually never seen a Terminator film before being cast in the show. I know, right? Do people in Hollywood just not know anything about pop culture? Well, shit, that answers that question. Glau did an amazing job as Cameron. Her programming to protect John made her make decisions that horrify the group, such as when Sarah confronts a friend of hers who is implied as being a snitch to the FBI. Sarah tries to question him, but Cameron just kills the son of a bitch for being a threat to her mission. But don't worry, she does grow as a character and learns a couple of morals. Like in this episode where Cameron is tasked in finding a computer named the Turk that could probably lead to Skynet being created. The creator of the computer was murdered, and his partner ran off with it, so Cameron needs to find him. But he's being chased by the Russian mob, so she befriends his sister, and his sister leads her to him. Oh wait, this is the part where in order to save these two, Cameron kills the bad guys in some awesome action scene. Ha! I'm just kidding. She lets them get shot to death by the Russian gangsters. Yeah, the show got pretty dark at times, but it could also get pretty funny.
Okay, now blend in.
Blend in.
Yeah, I mean, don't seem like a freak. You know what I mean, right?
Freak. Weirdo, kook, oddball, crackpot, strange duck, queer potato, nut. I've been reading the dictionary.
Please remain calm. So go to the other Martin house. Wait for the 888. When it shows up, blow its head off.
He can put it back on.
Summer Glau has always been a good actress, but I think she raised it up a level with this performance. Believe it or not, it's actually not all that easy to play a robot, but Glau gave a nuanced performance from her mannerisms to her intimidating presence. Also, you were left wondering if Cameron felt more than programming for John. Although John clearly did. The show also introduced some more characters that helped set the environment of the show, such as Richard T. Jones in the role of James Ellison, an FBI agent who at the beginning of the show sees Sarah, as many people do, as an insane terrorist. But slowly he begins to realize the horrible truth, that the rantings of this madwoman are actually real. Ellison was a religious man, and was on a quest to make sense of the world that he now lived in. But as with many of the characters, he wasn't one-dimensional, and made choices that made the audience question whether he was ignorant or just naive. Was his faith a hindrance, or was it a boon? Then we had the villains of the show. We had garbage front woman Shirley Manson playing a T-100 who's sent back in time to change the past. But even though we know she's a T-100, we slowly start to question what her real agenda is. Is she there to help Skynet be born, or does she have a motive that may be more complex? But the best villain was Cromartie, played by Garrett Dillahunt. I believe with all my heart that Mr. Dillahunt is the most underused actor currently working in the entertainment industry. Him and Enver Jokai. Speaking of which, did you know that he and Jokai were in the same movie together? Huh. Who'da thunk? Garrett Dillahunt was terrifying as Cromartie, a killing machine with a singular mission to kill John Connor. Even though he starts out as a standard Terminator, he drastically changes course over the series, by eventually becoming the body of John Henry, an AI program that is being taught humanity by Ellison, who believes that compassion and reason are the best way to avoid Judgment Day. The show's special effects were amazing as well, such as in the episode called The Turk, where Cromartie captures a scientist to help him grow new skin. They did try to use special effects very selectively on the show to keep production costs to a minimum, focusing instead on character moments and good stunt work rather than making a CGI-heavy show. Some of my favorite episodes don't even have a lot of action, like the episode where Sarah is captured by a hitman who's possibly working for the people behind Skynet, and we flash back and forth between that confrontation and the sleep institute that she's in to help her get over her insomnia. There's another episode where the story takes place in one day, shown from 3 different perspectives: John, Sarah, and Cameron. I love these types of stories. It just brings out my curiosity, and in this case ramps up the suspense as well. I can't think of one single episode that I thought was bad. They may have had a slow pace, but each and every episode has more than a fair share of memorable moments. So now, for the million-dollar question, why was this show cancelled? Well, for one thing, Fox fucked up once again. But this time, I will be fair, as the network did promote the shit out of their show with billboards, TV spots, product placements, and even a commercial being aired on the Super Bowl. But then the writer's strike of 2007 threw everything out of whack across all of the networks. So many good shows went down in flames because of this strike. My favorite being this show, and another one that never stood a chance called Journeyman. The Sarah Connor Chronicles was placed on Monday nights, which at first gave it good ratings for that first 9-episode season. But then the second season was placed on Friday nights, causing the show's ratings to be cut in half. Because if you spend thousands upon thousands of dollars, let's just go ahead and stick that fucker in the Friday night death slot. Jesus Christ, who runs the Fox network anyway? Oh, well, that explains a lot. But probably the key thing that took the show down was that Warner Brothers actually produced the show, but licensed it to the Fox network. So a lot of the lucrative options like syndication, Blu-rays, streaming services would instead go to WB instead of Fox. That means a lot of money they will not see. So they pulled the plug, and Sarah Connor finally experienced the fiery fate of Judgment Day. So should the show come back? Fuck yeah. But I will admit, it's just a pipe dream at this point. I'm not sure Lena Headey would be interested, seeing as her career is skyrocketing right now. And though it would be hard to see the show without her, I'm sure the rest of the cast would be interested. Thomas Dekker has not had much of a good run lately, what with being in more cancelled shows like Secret Circle and Backstrom. By the way, I hated Secret Circle, but I did enjoy Backstrom. Richard Jones is on a show right now called The Rookie, which I actually find to be quite boring, even though it does star the awesome Nathan Fillion. Garrett Lee Dillahunt is currently on Fear the Walking Dead, and Summer Glau seems to be only doing small roles nowadays, probably so she can focus on her family, after having her first child in 2015 and her second in 2017. The show did air on Sci-Fi for a time, but that stopped about 9 years ago or so. It has been released on Blu-ray, and as of this recording, it's actually being streamed for free on IMDb TV. So if you want to see a worthy follow-up to Terminator 2 for once, then you should give this show a watch. Or you could try watching one of the other movies that tried to continue the Terminator franchise.
Talk to the hand.
Yep, I didn't think so.
John Connor sent me to the past to save his younger self from termination. My one task, I must save little John Connor. I will protect baby John Connor. Come with me if you want to live. He's with us, you can trust him.